This is Joystick Justin, and we're here to show you my code that I've started building. So, I'm going to look over the code a little bit and explain to you what happens. Sort of, but like, some of it I don't really understand what happens. What I can tell you is this is the game loop. So if you want to copy the same game loop that I'm using, that's what it is. You can copy that. And then you got tick, and you got render. So every frame, basically, it runs the tick and runs the render. Render just renders your game on the screen and everything you see. And then, yeah, that's what render does. It just puts everything on the screen for you. It uses graphics. Yeah, and then tick basically ticks through. Handler basically handles all the things that appear on the screen. That's basically what that is. And that's literally all there really is. Then I have a character that appears on the screen, so I'm going to open up my images, layers right here, player. What he does is, I have 8 images. So there's these. When he's normal, he looks like this. When he walks, his foot comes up, and he basically does a walking animation. You'll see it when I actually open the game. Then that's player. And then for key input, when you don't have to worry about anything else. This just checks if you press a key, it'll tell you what the key code is. And then if the key, that saves it to key event. So key equals e.getKeyCode. So that's what key does. So if key is equal to, basically this is W, S, A, and D. Depending on which one you press, it will move you in that direction. So whenever it makes a screen, it goes Y positive that way, and then X positive that way, which means it's kind of opposite to what you think a graph is. Normally, like if you're good at math, graphs go Y positive like that, and then X goes positive like that. It's the other, X's are inverted basically. So by saying -5, you're actually going up, which is minus, and by saying +5 on your velocity 5. So velocity, I haven't explained that yet. Velocity Y is just your velocity, and velocity X is your velocity. So it sets your velocity to 5, or to -5 when you go up, pressing W, and sets your velocity to 5 when you press S, which means you go down, and that's basically how your velocity changes. Then there's key input. That's key input. There's a, actually technically I don't have something specifically for button pressing, but menu is kind of what button pressing is. So the menu, it creates, basically on the screen it'll create a thing that says main menu, and then it will create, it'll basically create some buttons that you can press. And so right here, if you look at that, you'll realize that it's equal to what this is. So not this MX and MY, it's equal to that. If you look at those two, they're equal. So basically, it creates the button there, and then separately says if you press anywhere in that region, then it does the code for that button. And so they're not actually connected really, but the area that you press is the same as where the area of the button is. So they're kind of the same place. So I hope that made sense. So there are 2 states for your game. There's menu and there's game. So it's just your state can either be menu or game. And so you start the game with your state being menu, which means you'll start the main menu, obviously. And then, yeah, you have mouse listeners, which just checks to see if your mouse is getting pressed, or key listeners to check if your key is being pressed. And there you go. That's basically the code. You have a player like I talked about. It just basically, if your velocity increases, or if your velocity is more than 0, then your cycle, there's a variable called cycle that will increase. And when cycle is between 1 and 5, it'll go for the first walk animation. If your cycle is 6 to 10, it'll go through the second walk animation, and it goes through all 7 walk animations up until cycle reaches 35. So cycle is less than 35, but greater than 31, it'll go cycles walks right 7. But if cycle, right here I say that if cycle is greater than 35, or if your velocity x is 0, which means you stop pressing the button that makes your guy move, then your cycle is going to equal 0, which means he'll restart the walk animation. And that's all I have so far. So my computer tends to crash whenever I load the game while I'm recording, so I have to do this really fast. So here's what your main menu looks like. I've made some changes apparently. Here's what your main menu looks like. If you press somewhere, it says false here. If you press here, it says true. And you have a guy. If you move him around like this, you'll see he walks. And it's really cool. I don't have walk animations for every direction just for that. But yeah, that's what it is. And I'm really scared to keep it open for too long because, as you can see, the FPS is huge. And that hurts your computer. And I'm going to work on changing that and optimizing the game. But for now, that's what I have. So it takes time to make everything and try to get everything perfect, because like for your menu, I had to all the numbers of where your where everything appears, all those numbers have to be really specific. So if I have like, if this -1 is like a 5 or like a 2 instead, then the outline of this play button is going to be messed up and it's going to be off, and then it just messes everything up. So yeah, but thanks for watching, and I hope this is interesting, and I'm gonna hopefully make this game good, and yeah, so that's the game.